Get your composure, Chandler. Get your composure. This is serious stuff we're about.
We got this.
Sabrina, you like mimicked me. Keep still, lady. Keep still. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Deck Karaoke, the show that's so important to me, I am currently missing my brother's wedding to record it. We are joined this week by Chandler Bassett, who is currently very confused. Chandler, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Also not his brother, so you should probably prioritize family.
One probably should, but I've never been one to follow the intelligent path. So Miss Sabrina Schaefer is also here as usual to make sure that we properly account for scoring and have a clear and defined winner at the end. She is our impartial judge. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning. Good morning. I am ready.
And before we kick off, Chandler, would you introduce yourself to the audience so they know who is going to lose to Joe today?
Oh my gosh. You know, that's been a fear of mine, unsubstantiated at best, but I don't want to be the one that loses to Joe. I'm Chandler. I'm a very opinionated nerd who drinks way too much whiskey. I've been a technologist for a very long time, started as a network nerd, done a bunch of different stuff, jumped out of some perfectly good airplanes, done some very weird stuff in the Air Force. Have an awesome family, live in New England, like to do cool stuff, and like hanging out with Joe. So this is going to be fun.
I like that you separated the two. I like to do cool stuff. I also like to hang out with Joe. There's no overlap.
Yes, no overlap.
Joe would not be the cool stuff. Yeah, it's more of a charity. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I like to give back to the community, right? People who need some help. Right. People who just, you need to spend a little bit more time with them. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And I can't argue that I qualify there. So I'll have to appreciate it, even with the slight insult that might be there as well. Without any further ado, let's do this show instead of just poking fun at me. I am very sensitive. We want to verify, Chandler, you have just sent us the slides. So there has been any prior prep or review.
That's accurate.
That's accurate. And Sabrina, can you confirm that for us as our impartial judge?
I can confirm that. You have not seen the deck.
Brilliant. Then we are going to share and get into this presentation, and I am very excited. No, Chandler, I will share, not you. Wow, this is a tough start. Everyone else has at least given me a title slide to work with, and I just got to get straight into this. So what we really want to look at is that people who are really serious about software should make their own hardware. And the reason for this is that's where your software runs. I mean, we talk a lot about software eating the world and developers and where everything's going in software. But if you don't have the right hardware to run it, you're not going anywhere. And the only way to get something done correctly is to do it yourself. So if you're actually serious, you're building your own hardware. And if you're not, don't talk to me. When we look at this, we can look back to some examples of people that truly understood this. I mean, Sony with their revolutionary Walkman. We've got some camera manufacturer with their possibly revolutionary camera. We've got my original cell phone that I used to carry around on my hip to look cool. And then finally, randomly, we have a map here because we want you to remember how to get home after you listen to me babble. As these things evolve, the hardware continued to evolve. Cell phones got smaller, cameras got disposable and portable, and Walkman turned into another thing that you've probably never heard of, you damn kids. A CD player, portable, strap it to your hip and walk around spinning discs. And then finally, our maps evolved to be able to not only tell us how to get where we're going, but collect every aspect of data about our lives while getting us there. And then on to Palm desktops, where we had this amazing device that basically took up a lot of space in your pocket to do a really bad job of keeping your schedule. Cameras went digital. We had the iPod, which you damn kids still don't know what I'm talking about. And that might not even actually be an iPod. And then finally, that Google Maps ended up on our dashboard. But wait, we're not done looking at how hardware influences evolution of software. We moved further by combining all of these things into one smart device that's not only your camera, your map, your music, but also the world's best data collection device ever, tracking every aspect of your life so that they can feed it to advertisers. So when we look at this, we remember that sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So the magic of your brand knowing more about your customers than your customers knowing about themselves is what we're talking about here. And I think I'm on track. I really think I'm on track.
You're so on track. Jeez.
So we look at this, we get more simple, more intuitive, more powerful, all at the cost of our own privacy. The power of consolidation here. When we're looking at this, we need to think of it just like I think about a UFFO storage platform, which I know absolutely nothing about. We need to think of it like these two arcs here. And what we're going to see is that at the beginning of our left arc, we've got this beautiful man and the word phone. And we're going to tie that together as we climb around this arc, navigating to this man looking quizzical, sitting on a step in San Francisco somewhere with a shirt talking about what an asshole he is. And as we continue to progress in technology, we realize this man is not so beautiful. It was really just bad photography that made him look more attractive than he really is. Into the web browser, where we can see in this experience, we're now able to be much more formal about the way in which we engage with software. And then finally, we can take all this stuff and consolidate it right into our wallet using a fisheye lens, which actually in some weird way makes the man attractive again. If we look at this and think it through from a very thoughtful perspective, we can see immediately how it applies to a UFFO storage platform. But for those in the audience that are a little more slow, let's walk you through how this looks. We start with a scale out NAS, which is this really beautiful idea that we've got on the left in that gorgeous three-piece suit. From scale out NAS, we're going to move over into other items like network attached storage through direct attached storage into backup and object store. All different use cases for my storage that I would traditionally have different software or hardware to be able to utilize. What we're doing here is consolidating all of these functions and onto one platform that's designed to meet all of your data requirements. And so we get a very similar consolidation through the Pure platform that we would get looking at bringing maps and phone and music to a single device. No longer do I need to look at my data requirements as individual components of hardware and software to deliver a specific task. I can look at my platform as a data system that can deliver the application outcomes I require. When we look at this radical transformation, what we're really looking to do, and one of the major benefits of this platform, is going to be to reduce that silo sprawl and simplify storage operations. A key thing here is going to be the consolidation and unification of your management. No longer do you need to manage individual component devices for individual component storage needs. We can reduce these silos into a simplified platform that's designed to use software to deliver all of these specifically off of the hardware that was designed purposefully for this. We get one platform out of these racks of cable mess. When you really think about the power of consolidation, of bringing these multiple functions into one system, what you're really getting is the manageability and flexibility you need to meet business demands as they come without having to look at how can my storage handle this or what might I need to support my data now. And that's one of the big features that you're brought by the Pure Storage platform. All right, that
well done.
I think I nailed it. I think honestly, like if we're looking at, if we were going to rate it on a percentage scale, I probably got it about 100% accurately.
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. I think irrational numbers are important, right? A lot of people think math is just simple arithmetic. We go from 0 to 100 in a percentage-based scale. I think it's important to understand that there's weirder versions of math out there. Conceptual math, right? I think Dr. Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park let us know of chaos math, right? The whole Taipei effect. I think that there's a sliding scale of your level of efficacy that you nailed at some point on that timeline. And buddy, great job. Yeah.
I love that you knew that using math analogies would confuse me enough into thinking that was a compliment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's,
well played.
Well done.
Well played.
Well, yeah. Well played.
It's part of giving back.
Sabrina, but before we turn this over to Chandler to finalize my win, what are you thinking on the initial presentation?
I liked the bit about about your data being collected. That was funny. I think you did tie it in there at the end, so I'll give you a little bit of credit there. But no, I'm really rooting for Chandler on this one. I'm not so sure, Joe. There were some tidbits. There were a few good pieces. I'll give you that.
Fair enough. I'm just going to count that as a giant W. Just take it that way. That's my perception, my reality here. And with that, we'll turn it over to Chandler. So Chandler, please don't embarrass yourself.
Heard that before. Most recently, my wedding night. So here we go. I think you did the way you tied it together at the end, I guess around the second slide as it built out. Nice job. I think a lot of people conflate design with how something looks. And I think that's something as I'm very passionate about UX or user experience, and it's not, design isn't just how something looks, but it's how you interact with it. It's more importantly how you use it. I believe that in this day and age, as we all are hyper focused on software stacks and how we drive further efficiencies with trying to make everything software defined, because we can drive faster innovation through software. We can add we can drive faster or more rapid innovation through software. We can add more feature sets through software faster than we can hardware. We tend to forget that the best versions of software that we interact with and that we really enjoy using out there have their own hardware portions coupled with them. And Alan Kay said it best, and this is something that I myself am a self-proclaimed Apple bigot, or I love the organization that the people who really care about the software make their own hardware. And we've seen examples of this through technology since tech was a thing. Apple is the best version of it, but even with Google and Microsoft in the last few years getting on board with the Surface products, I think anybody who loves technology has seen what they can do with that line, and then Google with their Pixel series. You can draw a line in the sand from when on a commercial level, when they were doing the Nexus line, partnering with Motorola, that was a great phone. But once they started developing Pixel and the vertically integrating the entire portion of that phone, again, perseverating on that UX for their end customer, it really started to open up. So people who really care about that end goal, they focus on both.
Well, Chandler, that's
and we see versions of this. Say again?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say that's a great segue, especially with the Apple piece and how dominant Apple is there. We will segue to a word from our sponsor, Android. Android is sponsoring this episode. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Hey, do you have your life sold right back to you? Go open up a Gmail account. There's ads in your email. It's perfect. I think one of the things in in having a collapsed software and hardware environment, I think there's an opportunity there to consolidate some different functions that we used to we used to have in siloed, right? So we used to, as Joe had mentioned, my mom used to have a bag phone, and when she needed to take calls, she had to run out to her car, plug it into the lighter, and she'd take her calls, right? The cameras we used to carry around. I remember getting my first digital camera, card in it and whatnot. Yeah, I did have a Walkman and a Discman. Anyone care to guess how many hours the battery lasted when you turned skip protection on a Discman? Anybody who says over 15 minutes is a liar. Just it takes a lot of time. We see this evolution of what that service was giving us through communication, capturing a picture, giving us music, providing us navigation. We see that innovation of that service, and as it becomes more digitized, it's an opportunity to collapse that service and give its digital footprint into a smartphone, right? We all saw where that was going, and in 2007, when Apple released the iPhone, they collapsed a lot of those features, and that was the first time we'd seen that in a large-scale commercial product. And through over the years, we've seen that continuous innovation of that marriage of software and hardware, right? Arthur C. Clarke, one of my favorite authors, if you haven't read any of his works, shame on you. And if you're not a reader, we all make mistakes. The most important part is how we recover from those mistakes and we become better people today. So go read his stuff. And we really are looking for an environment, both in our personal lives and in our business lives, where we manipulate and manage some of this technology and the outcomes that it provides of something simple, intuitive, and powerful. And if we can't have that, and if we're not looking for that, and if you want something complicated, hard to manage, and just a mess, who hurt you? And why don't let me give you a hug. It's okay. Like, everything is all right. I very famously tell the people that I support, if it's too complicated to troubleshoot at 3 a.m., it's too complicated. You need to work on reducing that complexity. And so this is something that I'm very passionate about, is to provide that experience to the people that I help and the businesses that I support with full featured through that consolidation, through an opportunity to make it simple, intuitive, and powerful while maintaining a lights out user experience. And I think this slide, while the different faces and flavors of Joe Onisick, culminating with the My Career, My Rules picture, which is one of the best on the planet, just takes that concept and drives it further down the rabbit hole. Again, great author. Go read Alice in Wonderland. It's way better than the movie. It's a great book. We take all of these individual siloed functions and we're driving that consolidation because it's far simpler and because it's far better. And where we used to have all of these best in breed kind of siloed tech efforts, because we didn't have a platform that could do it all in one. And because we did need to carry around these disparate pieces of gear, or at worst, we needed these disparate pieces of gear in the environments that we supported because they were best in breed, but there wasn't anything that existed before Pure developed the unified fast file and object platform. So now we can take a dedicated high performant NAS. We can take that DAS requirement that maybe you have in your environment, and we can put it on something like this. It is a true scale out NAS, right? It is a true performant object store. We can make it a high performance backup appliance. We don't need these individual boxes or architectures, or at worst, disparate points of management where you need individual subject matter experts for each specific one. Again, driving these lines of demarcation into your environment that just make it further complicated, right? Everybody speaks a different language. Maybe there's a different API structure for those other vendors, those other pieces of software. And at worst, those software and that hardware that it all sits on were not married together. They were not built to work with one another, whereas this platform was. And so if I have a highly throughput, highly performant platform that can facilitate all of these requirements and drive that consolidation that you use every single day, all kidding aside, irrespective of your religion of choice, whether Android, iPhone, or for all two of you out there that are still using a Leica Windows phone or a Lumia Windows phone, good on you. You understand how much the value that can add to your business. I don't know anybody today that can get anything done personally or professionally without a smartphone. And if you can, please show me where in the woods you live and show me how you keep the bears away from you. And this is a common occurrence that we see every day, that these are the problems that I help that my businesses and my customers solve. And we take these racks and racks and racks and racks of gear, again, these best in breed technologies, these individual siloed kind of things, and we rip them out or replace them with something that's incredibly small, easy to manage, easy to scale, and really easy to tell that value internally. And we work really, really well with collapsing even more use cases onto, right? This is not something that is purpose built for one or two things. And it's just, the story, I think, is one that is easy to evangelize for me. I think my customers understand it very well. And I think it's one, as we walk into a more software-defined world where both applications and both businesses and personal, where a lot of our lives are being handed off over to applications, that we need infrastructure that can support that application breadth as it grows, right? Software is great, and I love it, but it still requires hardware to run on. I don't care what you say, Amazon and your serverless nonsense. There's still going to be something running all of this stuff. And I believe that our platform is the one to do it. So thank you very much.
Right. So that's how you do it, Joe. I know you were wondering.
No, he was like right there. He was so close. He was so close.
Was he? I guess I must
So
have
close.
not seen
I
it.
was,
But no,
I was taking notes. I was taking notes for sure. So really interesting though, right? Like, and I think the way you tie it to the technology of cell phones and the rest and the consolidation was really intelligent. If you look back to when the iPhone first launched, the iPhone cannibalized a big chunk of Apple's business. In fact, a growing chunk of Apple's business in the iPod. And it was looked at, a lot of people looked at it as a bad decision, right? I remember when the iPhone launched, the CTO of Samsung, I believe it was Padmasari Warrior at the time, wrote a blog, The 10 Reasons the iPhone Will Fail. And one of them was, I already have my music on my iPod. So people couldn't see this cannibalization of business. And when you relate that back to the storage world, I remember one of the things I hated about one of the dominant storage players out there is they'd have these brilliant sales presentations where slide 1 and 2 show me, I can do everything your business needs. And then slide 3 through 252 show me all the thousands of products I need to buy from them to do that all, right? But for those legacy storage vendors to go in and build a consolidated platform would require huge cannibalization of their business, which is really hard to get past shareholders and the rest. Whereas Pure came in with a clean slate to build that platform and then was able to do things like utilize that flash technology at the economies of scale of the cost coming down and rewrite the software on top to really work with this new hardware, even down to, I believe you all rewrote microcode to improve read head seek time because you're no longer spinning disk.
It's absolutely correct, right? I certainly didn't want to turn this into like that kind of thing, right? But you're absolutely correct. We did not take a host operating system, SSD controllers. We didn't layer on existing technology and kind of bubblegum it together and put a nice, cute UI on it and say, go play with it. We reimagined it ground up. We said, if we could build the thing in, again, brand new, how do we want it to run? If we had to manage this stuff, what would good look like to us in 2016, in 2022, in 2011, when the company had built their first product, right? I think that's the most important part is we're not carrying X amount of years of tech debt with trying to prop up other business units that other people are responsible for. And we don't have this religious dogma around what good looks like, which lends itself very nicely to driving further innovation, and we can pivot far faster. Now, in some respects, it also kind of puts us out there a little bit because we may be a little ahead of where our own customers want to be, and certainly where some of the use cases are taking us. However, that's okay, right? I'd rather be early than be late. I'm sure you and Sabrina can certainly understand the value of that. But yeah, I love it, right? I love the obsessive nature on user experience more than anything.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge part, right? Because our biggest costs in the data center aren't the hardware we purchase. They aren't even the software that we purchase. They're the people we pay. They're our operational costs. There are salaries and benefits and things like that. So wherever we can, reduce the stress, the overhead there, we're reducing cost much further than we would be on a CapEx purchase of hardware or software. And that operational simplicity comes into play quite a bit. I've been involved in storage bake-offs where a customer ends up buying storage player A versus B based on the very top-end performance that they're never going to touch. And so they're sacrificing operational simplicity for some performance metric that isn't relevant to their business at all. Whereas that efficiency of a single operating platform and the ability to be able to do business will beat the pants off a few IOPS most days of the week.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And at the end of the day, it's nice that there's multiple people doing it and we all have a different idea of what good looks like. And the only people that win are the customers that have workloads they need to get done.
Right.
Fair enough. And the iPhone users, apparently, because they're the best.
They are the best.
I mean, you said it, not me. Hey-yo.
And right on the cusp, I think just this week was the 15-year anniversary of the first iPhone. So perfectly timed. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but that was perfect. There you go.
And a couple weeks ago, they killed the iPhone or the iPod.
Oh, well, there you go. I say bring it back. If this episode does nothing, hopefully it brings it back,
I didn't know it. I just found out it was still alive.
Oh, come on. iPod Touch. There's dozens of them.
I probably have a few myself somewhere in some closet, Yeah. But it's very relatable. The story is very relatable. And as soon as I saw those pictures, I got a sense of where you were going because you're right. We have been able to consolidate and we do remember, sort of that journey and now seeing our customers and, businesses are trying to take their business to simplify and to consolidate. And to your point, I love that quote at the beginning, if you're serious about software, you're building hardware. My brain instantly started racking all the different, companies where I'm like, you know what, that's a very valid point that I've really never taken time to consider. So yeah, I was intrigued by that. I was impressed with your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I've been involved in building products that had to build their own hardware to fully use the software. And there's a give and take there, right? I'm not saying that is the solution every time, right? Everything's a bit subjective. But there are things you can do when you control your hardware that accelerate your software and software capabilities. And so there, and you see this a lot with Mac versus Windows. With Windows, one of my biggest issues is going to be, system crashes. And those system crashes, I love to blame Microsoft, but the reality is Microsoft has to support any hardware underneath with no control of that configuration, which components or the quality of that. It's a much harder thing. And so driver incompatibility issues and things like that cause system crashes on Windows that you may not see as much on Mac because they control the ecosystem bottom to top.
Yeah, Windows is great, say for the hardware extraction layer. Outside of that, I think it's awesome.
Except for that one very important layer that
just the whole thing that makes it work. But yeah,
just that. I love the house, except for that missing foundation there. It's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
That's funny.
Yeah, great overall presentation. And again, I love the story, and I think that story carries. I mean, with customers I talk to, that story carries quite a bit. And that brings us to the most important piece of the segment. And I believe, did we ship him the tissues for this segment so that he's ready for this?
Did you get your complimentary box?
Ms. Chafer,
yeah.
Who did it better?
Joe, you really kind of breezed past your pictures. I thought there'd be a little bit more of an emotional attack and some, tears on your part, but you really breezed past that. So, I give you credit for being so strong. I'm sure that was tough for you to see that journey. But I think you might have missed the mark on just about 99% of everything else. So with that, Chandler, I'm going to give it to you. I liked the story. I liked the context. I liked the relatability. I really liked how you explained sort of where Pure is going and what's coming and where you fit in the market. So I'm going to give this one to you, Chandler. Nicely done. Nice.
Thank you kindly. I really appreciate it. And Joe, worry not, my friend. You're going to get one soon. I feel it. I feel it.
Eventually. Yeah.
Right around the corner. I might have to disagree because I'll admit for the record that when I got to that Tech G slide where I'm building out the evolutions of these 5 technologies, until I clicked the build where it showed the iPhone, I had no clue where that was going. And as soon as the iPhone came up, it was obvious, but it wasn't at all on my radar.
No, I love it. I love leaning into like the Zoomers on you guys have no idea what a Walkman is and a Discman is. I like that a lot.
That was. I will say for the record, I did have a Walkman. So, however that ages me, I know. Yeah. I had the whole CD thing and everything. Yeah.
And I will say for the millennials and Zoomers, love you. That was not meant to be offensive. Just stay the F off my lawn.
I love it. Thank you kindly for the opportunity and the fun. It was a wonderful time.
Brilliant. Before you go, Chandler, very important. Because I know one, you're really big into our community. You're big into understanding people and where they come from and where they grow. I know you've done some great podcasts with Wes Kennedy. You've been around people's backstories and such. So there's a lot you have to offer our community. Where can they come find you?
Oh my gosh. If you want to, and that's a really big if, I am at Whiskeyed Ginger. It's a verb in the past tense, everywhere. That's where I'm at. So if that name is out there, I've got it. Come find me. I would say my wife always says I make a very good second impression, and I'll just kind of leave that out there. You either dig it or you don't. But yeah, I'm around. If there's anything I can help with, I'm happy to do it. If there's anything that you need from me, I'm happy to provide. To Joe's point, I like connecting with people. I like hearing what's going on. And I just like providing any help I can.
Yeah, you're good people. You are good people.
I love the verb in the past tense. And that's an important note there. If you do connect with Chandler, he will give you a grammar test before allowing you to communicate with him. So just be prepared. Maybe not. We'll find out. Probably yes.
It's just like better that your wife is also hazing you and, saying, look, your first impression is terrible. All right. I'm going to put it out there. I'm just going to tell you. But your second impression is where you're really strong, Chandler. I mean, she deserves an award. That's hilarious. That is.
Hold on now. She got one. Jeez.
No, you're right. No, that's fair.
She does deserve an award. And everyone that knows her and I would probably say the same thing. So yeah, she deserves a lot. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed at the compliment, right? Like many times I've been told that my first impression is terrible, but they've never ended the sentence with a but and some additional information like your second impression is good. So you've got me beat.
There you go.
Joe, read the room.
Yeah.
Well, brilliant, Chandler. On that brilliant burn, we are going to end this episode of Tech Karaoke with another loss by your host. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you kindly.